If you're just getting started in Airbnb, I know how it feels. It can be completely overwhelming. You know that there's so many things that you need to think about, so many things you don't even know that you don't even know. But you do not need to be overwhelmed, because in this video, I'm going to give you the step-by-step blueprint of everything you need to think about in the right order so that you can make big money, big Airbnb money from day one.
I like the sound of that.
And if you want all my guides, templates, cheat sheets, and checklists, then just click the link below. So stage 1 is the foundation stage. You cannot expect to start or run any business successfully without sort of learning how to do it. Yes, you're going to learn on the fly, but that creates a lot of overwhelm and fear because it's uncertainty. You don't know what to expect. So read as much as you can, get my book, watch these videos, watch other people's channels, learn how to run the business, know what you're getting yourself into, learn and think about and decide on the strategies that you're going to use to actually acquire these properties. If you've got a big bank full of cash, happy days, go out and splash it and buy yourself a property. If you're tight on money, then you might want to look at management models where you manage people's properties for them, or rent to rent or arbitrage. There are lots of different ways to get property, whether you have money or not, to start running an Airbnb business.
No excuses.
And it's important that you start learning and understanding the fundamentals of how to run an Airbnb business.
The fundamentals of business.
So I have my own framework. It's called the 5 P's. First P is property. No brainer here. Obviously, it needs to be a good property that people are going to want to come and stay in, but there's lots of things to think about within that property. Next thing is promotion. So where are you actually going to get bookings from? How do you get them? What sort of rates should you set them at? The next P is people, because remember, these are real guests that are coming to stay in this place. They leave real reviews. They come and have real experiences in your property. The next P is processes, because once you get this business up and running, it can very quickly take over your life. So by processing and systemizing everything, you get your time back and you get a business that runs like clockwork. And the 5th P is for all those nasty guests out there who want to come and have parties in your place and trash it, or just blackmail you with reviews, or bring their pets, or bring their horrible kids that draw all over the walls. That's just my kids. This P is protection, because you really do need to protect the investment, protect your property, and protect your business and reputation against these bad guests. And once you've learned the foundation, once you've learned the strategies, once you've got yourself a property, time to move on to stage 2. And that's the property setup and preparation, just getting it ready. And so the first thing that I would definitely recommend that you do here is write out an itemized list, a checklist of everything that you know you're going to need for this property. It's so easy to overlook this step and you just think, well, I've got the keys, I'll just go and get everything. You're going to forget everything you need. You have to remember that this is a working property that people are effectively living in while they're there. So it's not the case of just getting furniture. You have to think of absolutely everything. You need coat hangers or coat hooks. You need cutlery in the drawers. You need dishwasher tablets for the dish. You need all of this stuff. If someone was going to actually move into the property, everything they need would be there. Having a checklist, and you go through room by room. So in the bedroom, what do you need? In a kitchen, what do you need? There's going to be a lot you need in the kitchen. But it means that once you've actually got the keys, you can go out and just buy everything. You can go on Amazon and just blitz it and get everything done. But then it's still a good idea that before you go live, once you've got everything that you think you need in the property, is that you stay in it yourself. Cook a meal in it. Spend the night in it. Is there everything there that you expect? Bet you there'll be some blind spots. The next step is that you need to come up with a comprehensive cleaning checklist. Whether it's you or someone else that's going to be cleaning this property, it needs to be done the exact same way, the exact same level every single time. And the best way to do that and to make sure things don't get missed is to have a checklist. And again, like the item checklist of things that you need, this cleaning checklist goes room by room. Think of the order that you do the rooms in and think of the order that you do the tasks in. And it is just a gentle reminder for you, if you're doing it, oh, I forgot to hoover under the sofa, or I forgot to go behind the door in the bathroom and get all those hairs out. But this thing really comes into its own when you start to outsource your cleaning, because you can just give it to a cleaner. They don't need to know every little quirk and detail of your property because you've written it down. There's a checklist for them to follow. It's very straightforward. Next in this preparation stage, you need to start to be thinking about your house rules.
Learn your rules. You better learn your rules.
So what are the rules of things that you allow guests to do and also not to do? So these are things like quiet hours, whether you allow smoking, and if you do, where, whether you allow pets. These things are policies that you get to decide based on what you want to happen in your property. Because let me tell you, if you do not set those rules, those boundaries, those guests are going to just push back and do whatever the hell they want. But a word of warning here, do not be one of those hosts that is so anal about rules that it just puts guests off and they end up having a really shit time and they leave a really bad review. These rules are only there to protect your property from bad guests, from guests who are going to just push things things too far, not from the nice families or the couples, just the normal people. So it's about striking a balance here between trying to deter bad behavior, but also to not completely like just ruin everyone's holiday because you're just such an oppressive regime on them. The next thing in this preparation stage is to get your welcome book ready, your guest guidebook. This is the thing that's probably going to be included in the guest's first impression of you and your property. If it's a hard copy, it's maybe going to be one of the first things that they look at and read when they walk in. And if it's a digital product that you're sending to them, it's probably going to be one of the first things that they properly read, where they get a sense of you as the host. And in it, you want to be given everything that a guest might need or want to know about your property and the local area as well. So it's things like how to work any confusing appliances in your place, where's the best coffee shops nearby, certainly should include your Wi-Fi code, but all the things like this. And the point of having this welcome book is that it cuts off any chance of a guest needing to contact you and then wait for you to reply. But everything they need is just in there already. And this has to be a live document, because once you get up and running, you are going to get frequently annoying questions from guests that you're going to need to very quickly update your guidebook with so that they don't happen again. Next, once your property's set up, you're fully prepared, time to list your property. Stage 3 is about the listing creation and optimization. So it is very easy to create a listing on Airbnb, but it's less easy to create one that's optimized to actually show up in search results and then convert those search results into clicks and then bookings. There are lots of things that you need to think about here. There are lots of boxes that you need to tick on the Airbnb platform, but the key things are the title and the description, as well as all the amenities that you offer. Spend time on this. Carefully think about the vibe that you're trying to portray through your listing. It is not just a case of you create something basic and the bookings will flood in. You're competing against hundreds potentially of other listings that are showing up in search results alongside yours. You have to really get across what is your property's unique selling point and why should a guest book you over the competition. And that brings us on to the next step in this step, which is the thing that stops the scroll the most, that gets you the click over all your competition, is having killer photos. High quality, professional photos convey to guests that you are a professional host and that they're going to have a professionally looked after time when they're, you know what I'm saying. You have shitty photos taken on a phone where all your mess is in the background. Guests are going to think, what kind of a host is this? Like, what am I walking into here? Whereas if you get crisp, clean, beautiful angles, lovely lighting on those photos, the guests are like, this host knows what they're doing here. This is going to be a good stay when I arrive. Now you can take these on your phone. It's not going to be as good, but if you do them on your phone, at least follow the best practice guidelines. And again, like all of these things that I'm talking about, it's in the blueprint below. If you want to take the photos yourself and save the cost of a professional, just get the blueprint. All right, so stage 3 is done. Your listing is live. Well, it's not really live because you don't know how much to charge. Stage 4 is about how to set your pricing. Now I speak to hosts on a daily basis, new hosts on a daily basis, and they're like, I go, how did you pick your pricing? And they're like, well, I just thought that would be a nice number. I'd like to have that much. Doesn't really work like that. There has to be some strategy involved in how you come up with your pricing. You can't just pluck a number out of thin air, because if you pluck one out of thin air that's too low, you're going to get tons of bookings but make no money. And if you pluck one out of the air that's too high, no one's going to book it because you're way more expensive than all the other places in the area. So you have to do your research. You have to do a competitor analysis. You have to think, right, where does my property sit against all these other ones in the area who are already more established with more reviews than me? It takes time, but it is research and time well spent, because it's going to pay you back literally in money. Pricing strategies is a whole other video in itself, and I have ones on the channel about this, but there is a lot to think about with pricing. It should change based on how many days the guest stays, based on what day of the week they stay, based on what month of the year, whether there's a big event happening in town, whether there's 6 people staying or 2 people staying. There are lots of ways that your pricing should adjust to get you the best rates. It's not a case of just set and forget. Once you get that up and running, you can spend a lot of time tinkering about, fiddling with rates, $2 up, $3 down, or I believe best practice is to use rate pricing software like Price Labs, where you're going to just plug it in and it's going to do it all for you. And I should also say, do not use the Airbnb thing, smart pricing. It is a scam, and it is only there to get your rates as low as possible so that guests continue to use the Airbnb platform, because every property is a bargain. The next step in this pricing and profitability stage is to think about your off-platform marketing, your direct bookings, your bookings from other platforms. Airbnb is the one everyone's heard of and probably the one that you heard of and got you encouraged to start this business, but there are lots more platforms out there that probably you could argue are better than Airbnb. I'm talking about booking.com here, but in reality, the best bookings you can get, the most profitable bookings you can get are direct bookings. And that's when Airbnb and booking.com and all the rest are cut out completely. The guest comes to you, they pay you money directly. You don't have to pay or worry about the Airbnb overlords coming and telling you what to do with each booking. And there are lots of ways to do this. If you use a channel manager or a PMS, you can get your own direct booking website that sets up and it just plugs right back in and it closes off availability across all of those different booking sites. If you're looking for a channel manager or a PMS, I would definitely 100% recommend Guesty, and there's a link below where you're going to get some mind-blowing discounts off that. It will also get you on booking.com, Verbo, Expedia, all the other booking sites, and it's one platform. This is not a video about Guesty. I love Guesty, but this is a video about how to set your property up so you're not just relying on Airbnb, you're on every booking site going, as well as your own direct booking site. Now we are on to stage 5. So your listing is live and you've started to get bookings in. Now the shit really hits the fan. This is when the real work starts. And I see this all the time with people who are just getting started. They focus so much on getting the property, then they focus their entire world is on getting it ready, and then it's on getting the listing ready, and then it's like, oh shit, we have a booking. It's a real person. Dave is coming to stay in my place. Ugh. And I remember that feeling myself. First booking came in, the butterflies in my tummy. We didn't even have the place ready yet. We had to like get out all these tools and everything because it was the same day booking. It was terrifying, but massively exciting at the same time, and that's going to happen for you too. So the first thing you need to think about in this stage of the guest communication, just their general experience, because remember, they leave reviews after every stay, they need to be 5 stars. First thing you need to think about is the guest communication sort of journey. Guests are going to ask questions, they're going to want to know stuff. You're going to need to tell them stuff as well, like check-in times, check-out times, just general bits and pieces. But for every booking, the same messages need to go out. So you need to have a confirmation message when the booking is confirmed, pre-arrival message, so to tell the guests how to check in. Once they've checked in, you need to send them another message to see how's everything getting on. You need to maybe send them another message the day before they check out, asking them to do whatever you need them to do. And then another message once they've left, asking them, leave me a 5-star review. Now, if you're just writing these yourself, this is very quickly gonna waste time and get very old. Have templates, or even better, automated messages that go out based on triggers of the guest is checking out in 24 hours, the thing goes automatically. Trust me, it's gonna save you loads of time. Guesty can set it all up. I have templates in the blueprint about what you should say. It's so straightforward, but it does need done, because writing every message yourself is gonna just do your head in after a while. Do people know what do your head in means? I think that's a Belfast expression. Anyway, the next thing you need to think about is your vetting procedure. The vetting procedure is what you're going to use to stop these bad guests that I talked about getting into your property. And trust me, once they've got in, it's much harder to get them out than it is to just stop them getting in the first place. So bookings are going to come in, inquiries are going to come in, and you need to be able to figure out which are the ones that you want in and which are the ones that you want to go to your next door neighbor, your competitors. And there are some red flags here. First, if a guest lives in the same town as where your property is, that's a red flag. Next, the guest is like 17 or 18, that is a red flag. You know, I would even argue if it's 6 guys or 6 girls that are youngish, there's a potential there for a party. It's up to you to vet and be super strict, ask the right questions, find out why people are coming. And if you don't like the answers you get, just say, no thanks, you're not coming in. It can be uncomfortable to tell a guest, I'm sorry, we're not prepared to take your booking, but it is far less uncomfortable than that gut-wrenching feeling you feel in your stomach when you walk into your property the day after a party and you just see the devastation. I have been there. I don't want that for you, but it will happen if you're not careful. Now, that is a small part of the business. It is a part that you do need to give due attention to, but let's leave those bad guests and return to the nice normal guests and how we keep them happy. It's not a case of once they just arrive, you're done, your money is paid and your work is done and you just sit back and wait for the 5-star review. You do need to do a little bit more to make sure, 1, the guest has an amazing stay, like they're wowed when they walk in, and 2, whenever they have problems or questions or concerns, that you act in a professional, hospitable manner and deliver good customer service, because they're going to remember you and your responses to things just as much as they remember how nice your bed sheets or your paint on your wall is. So there are lots of ways where you can literally delight and wow guests, and the things that are going to then get mentioned in reviews. So having a good welcome pack is a really good thing. I find one of the best things to secure a 5-star review is leaving alcohol, like wine or some beers in the fridge, but little things things, like some snacks, some tea and coffee. Just a handwritten note is going to go a long way to making your guests feel like you actually care. Now, stage 6 here is just a load of bonuses that are really there to design to help you streamline and just getting straight into it. And they're in the blueprint, so I can't really give you them. The first bonus is a quick launch checklist. It's literally like, how can you get launched the quickest way possible with everything actually working and not falling apart? The next is the biggest 10 mistakes that new hosts when they're launching their property make, and fixes about how to actually not make them. It saves money, it saves time, it saves stress. It's worth every penny. The next bonus is sort of for once you get up and running and you know how everything works. It's about how to automate things, how to automate cleaning, messaging, bookings, everything like that to just streamline things and get your time back. And then the last bonus is the one that was so requested that it maybe should have been a video or a course in itself, is about how to actually manage other people's properties. Because let's face it, not everyone has tons of money in the bank. Managing other people's properties is how I've built my business to over 75 properties in the portfolio, doing over £4 million in bookings per year, 18,000 guests here in Belfast. It's like a cheat code to scale a portfolio. And actually, if you want to learn how to do that better, first get the blueprint and then watch this video next. It's going to show you everything step by step how to start and scale a management company. See you in the next one.